Steinberg from Queen Bee Fundraising.
Hey there, Lori. How are you?
I'm thrilled that you are on live with us today, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are going to attempt to do 6 tips in 16 minutes. I won't start the countdown until I introduce you, though, to give you some wiggle room. How's that?
Sounds good.
The reason I asked AJ to join us here today is because she really has done it all. I mean, literally from, the beginning to the end, everything in between for events. She's been on site from sun up to sundown for all these activities. And now she's moved into consultancy and she is willing to share it all with us today. Well, 6 tips of them, of course. The tips that she prepared are wonderful. They take no funding, just being consistent and donor-centric. Is that correct, AJ? Giving them
heck yeah. Consistent and persistent.
Consistent and persistent. I will invite everybody to drop comments into the bottom of the conversation here or into Facebook. Those comments will show up on our end and we'll be able to answer them live, either throughout the discussion or at the end, either way. So go ahead and drop anything into the Facebook Live comments. First, if there's, I think we have a couple viewers out there already. I would love to know geographically where you are viewing us from and what kind of group that you are fundraising for. It helps us build our community. So I'll go ahead and get started and pull up our slides. We've just got a couple here to help us stay on course and kind of outline, but please go ahead and drop any questions, any comments that you have in. And if you're not familiar with Auctria, because we are live streaming over to your area also, AJ, Auctria is proudly celebrating our 10-year anniversary here in 2021, and we're thrilled to share that information with you. In that time, it's been 30,000 auctions that have been run through the system, raising over $300 million. And it's every type of group from schools to teams to animal lovers, arts and culture, health and wellness. Event and auction fundraising really does work for everybody. So it looks like we have one person that put a comment in. Hello, Rory from Oklahoma City Ballet. We appreciate you today. And like I said, continue to feel free to drop everything in. AJ, tell us about Queen Bee Fundraising and lay out those tips for us.
Thank you. So those of you who don't know me, and hey, everybody, so glad to have you with us. I am a 20-year veteran event producer specializing in nonprofit fundraising events. I'm a CFRE, and I've raised millions of dollars for some amazing organizations. And now I have segued into teaching organizations how they can put on engaging and profitable events, because it doesn't take any extra funds to throw at your event. It's just knowing what to do and the proper protocols. And once you have that all down, you know what? You're able to forever put on events that will not just make you money during the event, but will keep the love flowing right after and long after the event too. So hi everybody. So we have a lot of people. We have Stille Valley Youth Dynamics in Washington, and we have Oklahoma. Hi, Steve is in Richmond, Virginia. This is awesome to see everybody here. So let's move on to the tips, because I want to make sure I only have 16 minutes, and literally I could speak all day trying to get you guys back to your live fundraising events. And the reason that I chose this topic is I get hundreds of emails a week, it seems, asking about, we pivoted, we hate that word, but we pivoted to virtual events really quickly and not always gracefully. So how are we going to transition back in this kind of uncertain time in 2021 to put on engaging and profitable events? So my first tip is going to be that you should create a strategy. Look at your goals and plan a strategy. Now, I'd like to say right now is I have been standing in the middle of a vast wasteland, screaming at the air, saying for 20 years, saying, please start your event planning with goals and a strategy, because most of the people who hire me and my clients, they just say, okay, we're going to do a gala. Well, a gala may not be the best kind of fundraising event for your organization, for what you're trying to accomplish. So the 5 goals that we have for any fundraising event are, of course, fundraising. We also have community awareness, because you would be shocked how many people in your community don't even know that your organization exists. Every time you do marketing for an event, it's marketing for your organization. It gets your name out there. The 3rd goal is program awareness, because you'd be surprised how many people who are your supporters don't even know the scope of what your organization does. An example, I was hired by a large branch of the YMCA. It covered maybe 200 square miles to do a gala for them. And I had no idea that the YMCA invented basketball. They invented Mother's Day, that they had senior health items, they had daycare. So your event should also make people aware of the scope of what you're doing. The 4th goal is a call to action. You have spent 9 months planning this event. You know, I say it takes 9 months to make a baby and 9 months to make an event, but you've taken 9 months creating this event, and you've spent 4 hours where they've fallen in love with you and they just love you. Don't let them leave without telling them how they can be more involved with you after the event. That's your call to action. Next, and the last one, is appreciation. We can't do what we do without our donors, supporters, and event guests, and we need to, at every step, thank them for being there, thank them for their support, thank them for just being great members of our global community. And appreciation is what really creates community, and that's what we're going for. So your strategy is, how will you attain these 5 goals? All right, that's my first tip, which took up way too much time. My second tip is, please, folks, if we learned anything from last February and March, it's that we need to have clearly written cancellation and rescheduling policies. And the policies need to be on your event website.
Absolutely.
And printed on your tickets. So first you need to, before you even come up with these policies, you have to determine if you're going to give a refund. If you ever look at golf tournaments, a lot of them just say, in case of rain, we will consider your fee a donation. Super simple, and it's never questioned because it's written as a policy when they sign on. Make sure that the policy that you've determined is on your website and your invitation. And lastly, take care of yourself, because what happened to a lot of organizations was they hadn't read any of their cancellation policies when they signed their event venue contracts in 2019 and 2020, meaning they never got their money back from the events that didn't happen due to a pandemic. Make sure that when you sign that contract, read the cancellation policies, and make sure, even if you have to put it in by hand, that you have a clause saying you get a full refund if there's a pandemic closure, or that there's some kind of in-kind reimbursement, whether you get, later on the money goes to another time you're using it. Make sure you take care of yourself. Okay, that's tip 2. Tip number 3 is, slowly moving there, strategize for maximum guest and sponsor engagement. And I'm just going to tell you, friend to friend, you should have been doing this for the past 15, 20 years. You should not have waited for virtual events to suddenly say, gee, how am I going to engage my guests during a virtual event? You should have been asking that question about live events for the past 20 years. Don't worry. It's a very simple way to do it. It kind of plays into the whole neuroscience of how people respond to messaging and opening hearts and wallets. So it's not hard to do, but you need to understand your guest attention span. Virtual events were an hour because that is way maxing out the attention span of people online. But you have to understand not only that there is a 4-hour to 5-hour period of time that you have your guests in one place before they're bored and they leave, but also piece by piece, the little pieces of your event you put together, from the cocktails to how you sequence your stage program, that is playing into guest engagement. And there's strategies and protocols for that. Edit your stage program down. We do not need politicians getting up, introducing other politicians who get up and give a speech. We do not need to say, and here are the past 27 presidents of our board. Have everybody stand up at once, thank them, and have them sit down because your stage program content is too long. I do not need to watch other people's children singing badly to make me want to give you money, right? If we need to really hone it down. Stage program sequencing, and by stage program, that's the minute the MC gets up to say hello, and then the end is when he says goodbye, whether it's on a stage, on a golf course, in a living room. That's our stage program. How you sequence it builds community, and building community is what opens hearts and wallets and turns guests into long-term donors. Sequence your stage program properly, and then treat your sponsors like VIPs. Do not get their money, have them sign the sponsorship contract, and then you never call them, talk to them, email them again until after the event or until they get the invitation. That's a way just to be kind of like a little parasite. What you're doing is creating relationships with your sponsors by keeping them up to date about the exciting stuff that is happening in the event. Let them know how you're driving business before the event to their place of business. Also, let them know during the event, have ways that they can meet people who will become customers. All of this is treating them like VIPs. Do not look at them as a paycheck. Look at it as a long-term relationship. Now, before you panic and say, I'm going too fast, AJ, you're going too fast, I only have 16 minutes. I do have workshops that are half-day workshops, whether they're virtual now, later on, I'm coming to your town. One is just on sponsorships, how to find sponsors, how to get them, how to treat them after, all of that. That's something I teach. Also, I teach event engagement and sequencing. So just email me, aj@queenbeefundraising.com. My email will be at the end if you have any questions and if you want more information on that. All right, 4.
Right.
I'm running out of time.
And you'll give me those links also. I'll put them up on our website so they're up as resources.
I will. And one thing, when you take these workshops, you will not be spending any more money at all, zero money on getting sponsors, but you will see this skyrocketing return because you're just doing it right. You don't need to spend money. You just need to know the secrets of how the rest of us who are professionals do it right. All right, let's go to number 4. I'm talking fast. Sorry about that, Lori.
That's okay. Don't worry. I won't clock you off. The more AJ, the better. The more AJ,
I do talk on this all day. I could talk on this all day. Focus on building community during your events. I want you to look at the people who are going to attend your event, whether virtual or in person, any kind of event. They're a community, because when people feel a part of something bigger than themselves, it's the Maslow hierarchy of need, is when you feel a part of something bigger than yourself, you become generous. You open your heart and your wallet because you want to do something good to help the community around you. So first of all, your event is not just throwing chicken dinners at people and having an auctioneer. They're not there to buy stuff at your silent auction. You guys spend 200 hours getting stuff for your silent auction, and Lori's company Auctria does an amazing job of making it gorgeous and easy. But you spend about 10 minutes sequencing your stage program and about 4 minutes on your ask speech. An event is a relationship building opportunity. So you should look at how to strengthen bonds, how to turn your board members into a goodwill ambassadors during cocktail hour, to specifically have people that they are tasked with going to greeting, to talking to introducing to other people, to form friendships and bonds. Everything you do, is to make the people in the audience feel that they are a community, and that community is there because they're doing something good in the world by being a part of your organization. And it's up to you. You can't assume that these ties happen by themselves. Just think of a wedding. You don't just sit there at a wedding and you've never spoken to anybody. No, the bride and the groom, they go to tables, they introduce you to their relatives. There's rehearsal dinners beforehand so people can get to know each other. Building communities means letting people know who else is there, building up their egos, and then saying together we can do a better job. So that is what you're focusing on during your events, whether virtual by having the talky people as people enter the chat room to welcome them, or in real events where you really work hard to just meet them person to person. All right.
I'll pull up this comment from Britt at the same time. I'll move on to the next one. So Britt was asking if you had a recommendation for what percentage of event your goal should be sponsorships, referring back to the previous note.
Britt, that's a really good question. And I like to say, I would like to have everything in my event paid for, if possible, by sponsorships. That is a good goal, because that means every time that you open the door, tickets come in, auction sales, the ask, all of that is now in your pocket as cash money that you can spend however it's been designated. So do I always make my goal? Lots of times I'm way over. Believe it or not, with the system that I've got in place, it's taken me 20 years. So don't feel badly. It took me 20 years to really, really get this all down. So try to look at getting your costs covered by sponsorships. And then if it's more and you make more, it's great. And once again, if you want, I have sponsorship handouts. Email me at aj@Queen Bee Fundraising, and I will send you my sponsorship handouts when I do my sponsorship webinars. And I think Gloria has played some of those webinars. Happy to give you the handouts.
You're the best. The next one is tip number 5, looking at events for stewardship.
All right. So don't look at an event as a point in time. And that's what is a huge, you are leaving money on the table if you do that. So an event may be on April 1st from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., but that's a point in time. What you're looking at as this is starting the relationship building and the stewardship process, whether it be somebody who's a guest who's never heard of you before. So now you're looking at this as a stewardship opportunity to bring them in as maybe a one-time donor turned into a monthly donor or a higher donor, and take the donors you have and you're taking them to the next level in their giving silo. So look at this as a real life opportunity to do what all that stewardship that your development team is doing it. So a successful fundraiser raises money before through sponsorships, during because you have an ask, and after by the follow-up. The most important thing that I can tell you today is you should have a follow-up protocol. And once again, it's in my handouts. If you ask for the protocol for follow-up, I will give you my 3-touch protocol for after an event. And it's up to you to follow up with the people. It's with your organization staff and board member to make personal connections during the event. I have a list of, it's like a little flow chart of, well, AJ Steinberg is on the board and she's going to talk to Vita Kaplan and Sasha Blaine and all of those people. And then this person has another tree of people they talk to, because we want to make sure everybody has a board member who's come up and talked to them at least at a certain level of giving. So make the connections during the event and use my protocol for following up. Follow up is what is going to turn guests into long-term donors. And 6, it's that post-event protocol. See, 6 and 5 kind of dovetail together. Don't wait until the event is over to create your follow-up protocol. You are busy. Everyone thinks, okay, the event's over. I'm going to go home, put on my fuzzy slippers, have my glass of wine. No. That's when the real work begins, because we know there's a ton of follow-up with, letters for donations, auction items, all that. But it's also when you start the post-event protocol where you have emails that go out, telephone calls that go out to a certain level of donors, and appreciation is key. Do not just say, hey, you bought something for $100 at the auction. All of your post-event protocols should say, because of you, our organization is able to send 12 girls to school, or because of you and our event guests, we're able to provide water for a year to a village in Tanzania. Whatever it is that you are going to do with the money, it is your guests who are the superheroes in this story, because that makes them feel a part of the community. And they know if you tell them what their money's doing, that builds excitement for the giving. And it's also, we had just said this, consistent and persistent. I hear a lot of times people say, I don't want to bother people asking for money. I don't want to bother people sending out my invitation to the event too many times. I don't want to have too many emails go out to them from my email address. You know what? In marketing, it takes 7 touches before you even recognize that there was a message you were supposed to see. That's the persistency. That is, realize you may be sending out thank you emails for 4 or 5 months for the event saying, hey, the love is still flowing. Let me tell you now, how much we've done with what you've done. Part of it is they didn't even recognize the first floor. Think about it. You've seen that car commercial on TV 20 times, but it isn't until the 21st time you actually notice which car brand that is. And consistency is your messaging. Be consistent by saying, thank you. You are the hero. Because of you, we are able to do this. Don't just say, hey, we're bringing water to this village. No, because of them, we're all bringing water to the village. So consistency and persistency. How did I do time-wise? Was that 16 minutes?
Perfect. Perfect. And you're reiterating what I say in my webinars all the time. You can never over communicate.
So I have this sign here. I'm not going away. Hold on just a second. I want to show you something.
Where is she going? She's left.
People don't believe I have right next to my desk. I have this sign on. I teach this in my webinars, and everyone thinks I'm lying when I say I have a sign in front of me on my desk. It was behind me today. But it's organization, communication, and appreciation. Those are the three things you need to do for a successful event, to be a successful leader, to have successful committees. Organization is do the work in advance to understand what your success will look like and how you're going to achieve that success. Communication is where we usually fall down. It's where you actually can tell your team what your goals are and what they need to do specifically to help you to get it. And if you don't do communication, then it doesn't matter how organized you are. And appreciation, because if you want the team to work and to become this big love fest of a team, you need to appreciate that you can't do it without them. And those three things are the secrets to being successful with any events, any fundraising event you're doing.
That's awesome. And AJ, I'm going to pull up our stay in touch screens, because it's really good to stay in touch with, AJ as well as Auctria. But however, we both have some community Facebook communities that are phenomenal. And really, they're the nicest places on Facebook. Everybody helps each other out on these. For Auctria, we have the Facebook group Auction Team Talk. Feel free to join that. We'd love to have as many people on there as possible. And then on AJ, she has a Facebook group also, event
with AJ.
Yes, events, and the nicest. I mean, people ask questions, they get answers back. People will share screenshots, they will share documents, and it really is one of my favorite places to hang out when I do go to Facebook. So I invite our audience to join us on both of those for different audiences and to join in on the conversation.
Very good.
I really appreciate your time, AJ. So, okay, look into your crystal ball. When's your first live event going to happen, or your groups? Tell us what you think. I'm putting you on the spot, I realize that, but I'm just curious. I ask everybody.
I know. My first live event is a golf tournament in September.
Wonderful.
So we're crossing fingers. It's outside, so I feel confident that will happen, but things shift. We just got the CDC warning about travel to 80% of the countries in the world. So that kind of gave us pause.
Absolutely. And with Auctria, we've seen groups, it depends, because, we're a software company, we cover, all over. And so it depends on the location that people are in, and some areas are more open than others. And things are evolving, and the best part is that all of these tips can be are relevant and can be used immediately for any of your activities that are going on. So AJ, you'll send me the resources. I'll put them up on our website. This conversation will be available for playback. AJ joined us a little while ago for sponsorship. She did a webinar for us, and now she's got her enormous program all together that people can participate in. So I'm so glad to have you join us. It looks like there's a couple comments that are coming in. It looks like Steve says he has a golf tournament coming up in October, maiden voyage with Auctria. Yes,
Steve, just so you know, I'm using Auctria for the golf tournament I'm doing in September. So good choice.
That's awesome. We do see a lot of golf come through.
It's outside.
It's smart. It's the one thing that's still been moving. And then Britt has a note on here. It says her online auction is live right now, and our program live stream is Saturday night. Fabulous.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck. And drop your information into either of those Facebook groups to share and let other people enjoy your success also. And Steve gives us a little note here. Excellent. Thanks for the exclamation point at the end there, Steve. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And thank you so much, AJ. Did you have any parting suggestions for anybody?
No, I just, you guys are in good hands with Auctria, and good luck with all your fundraising, and thanks for everything that you do.
Awesome.
Look at somebody's, another lot of first-time Auctria users in here, huh?
Yeah, it's a party.
Yay, Rory. Okay, thank you.
We'll do this again soon if that's okay with you, AJ.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.